kind of convinced each other that we're going to go out here and do a little bit of one-on-one. We had a small little group, that wanted to see it.
Yeah.
JT, do you actually have the uh, hype video that we
You know I do. What kind
made?
of what
Come
do you
on.
pay me for?
Come
Okay,
on now.
so let's show the little clip, the little teaser that we put out on social media. One that gives you another good look at who Slade Bolden is, but also a little bit who George
We
Teague
used
is.
to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it.
He don't know how to eat. He don't know how to drink. He don't know how to run routes. Slade Bolden thinks he can do something with me.
Oh yeah.
Perfect. Come on. What's up? Let's go. Let's go.
Oh,
Gone. Out of there.
So we put out a poll. Slade, I think you need to know
You
that
won
the
the
people
poll.
that voted who thought who won,
Yeah.
that it was going to be me. 65% George Teague,
That's crazy.
35% Slade Bolden.
That's actually a lot
That's
closer
crazy.
than I thought it was going to be.
What
Well,
you
what'd
thought it
you
was going to
think?
be?
Okay, look.
What you thought it was gonna
Look.
be?
I thought this was going to be a landslide only because you were posting it to your own followers.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
thought I just assumed like it was going to be in the 80s
A lot
or
of
90s
bias.
because everybody's biased toward like they're following you.
No, but Slade actually did a great job of being a collaborator
Mhm.
with this, and so that's true. So he had some of his followers in there, but a lot of the negative comments for me were they wanted to go with youth. They love me, but I'm
Mhm.
53. He's 20
Yeah.
something. It was like there's no way. Um,
So maybe 20 years ago it'd been a different story.
I know, but I won. Just so everybody knows,
Okay.
it actually happened.
Nowadays you couldn't get away with all that grabbing. They'll flag you quick.
Yeah, but we were playing by my rules.
I think everybody that played for him could do a good Coach Starler's impression. I know one of my favorite ones is he says, we had practice one day, and your father when you do something to a defensive guy, he becomes the bully of the bunch. I just want everybody in this world to know that George T could be a bully when he wanted to be, and something happened at practice, and he was out for retaliation, and he hit Martin Houston, and I'm talking about he rocked him. I think he knocked Martin Houston out at practice that day. Then you came back and hit Busky and had Busky doing a headstand. You did two of them that day, and I never forget it. Coach Starler said, "Hey man, he's your teammate, man. You can't be hitting your teammate like that." And without hesitation, Glue turns and looks at him and said, "Well, you're not saying nothing to the running backs when they run us over." Yeah.
Watching the running back's foot, and he takes a drop step. If it's a counter,
Oh.
he's going to, shuffle to one side and go to the other. So watch the runner takes a drop step. Boom.
That's interesting. So
Counters are.
I'm trying to switch the color for chat. Red is apparently not working, so I'm going to try blue. Chat, let me know. So what we're looking at right here is this guy, and we're looking at his foot.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So what he's saying is, I'm going to try really hard to stop it. There it is. Ah, damn it. That's all right.
Go ahead, run it back. You can get it.
Yeah, so he sees that drop step, and you're saying when he takes the drop step, that
That's
means
it's a power play.
power. That right there.
Right, because
'Cause
now
On the
he's
counter,
going
you got
straight downhill. You're not getting this action, right?
yeah, because on the counter, you're gonna counter and shuffle, so you give the offensive lineman, as you said, two pullers, the opportunity to pull, and then you can get up behind them. So that's why your footwork would be different. So he would have countered to the right. He would have step, and then planted, and then came back right if it was a counter. Step left, and then come back right for a counter. He's just taking a drop step. So to me, that's a power play.
So I'll tell you something that's very tricky is make sure you look at the snap count, right? Because say somebody has a high PFF grade, then you look, oh, they're not the starter. Oh, they only got 39 snaps. Okay, well, they look good in those 39 snaps. They got this high grade, but they haven't really played much. So it's a little like, okay, you don't have much film. Versus a DB who's probably had 500 snaps on the season. I'm able to go and look at, passing completion rate versus him versus man and zone. How many explosive plays did he give up? How many touchdowns did he give up? What's the QBR versus him? So every detail is in there. If he has missed assignments, you're able to see that.
But see, that right there is what I'm trying to figure out is like, how do they know that he missed an assignment?
So they have something called play diagram. So say they're playing Tampa 2. Okay, in the corner, he's bailing. Then somebody throws in the flats, and he doesn't even come up and defend the flat area. You put the play diagram with it, and they said they call Tampa 2, but this is what he played, so he gets a negative grade on that. Same thing with the offense. They have the play diagram. How they get the playbook, that part I don't.
Because again, each thing you give me, I'm just like, yo, like what? Who is feeding the? Yeah, well, they call this play right here. Y'all got a mole in the. Y'all got somebody that's that they pan to chart, and then it's like, hey man, just send me the play sheet and send me the book so I know what's going on and what y'all supposed to be doing.
Match it up. So if they're playing cover 3, the weak or strong, whatever the case may be, you can see everybody else doing the right thing. It's like, okay, this guy here messed up the coverage, and then you see he really did. It was supposed to be cover 3, and he played he was in the wrong zone, or whatever the case may be. They're playing quarters where it's really man and match, and the guys come off and take the corner out, and then here goes the post behind him, and he didn't go with him, and now he's wide open. You see the safety and DB arguing back and forth. Hey, that was your man. You can tell, okay, that was
That never happens. We never do that. We never point fingers at anybody. What are you talking about, man? The lifestyle that I was able to grow up with, 6 older brothers, 2 older sisters. Being in the military, it wasn't easy for them to do and to provide for me and give me the lifestyle, of being on the base to learn what it means to serve and all that. So hats off to all the veterans as well, because I'm thankful for all that they do as well. Now, so what I'm going to say is, because of that, not growing up there, I used to love to watch the Miami, Florida State game just when I was young. It was just something about him coming out in the middle field and spiking that big old spear in the middle of the field, like, oh man, it's on, this kind of thing is exciting. They used to battle. There was some, some really close games. And when you look at it, so that series, the Miami Florida State series, it's 35-32. Miami is pretty close. Alabama, Auburn, we're up 49-37 in our rivalry. We need to keep it that way. Let's go ahead and 50. This week, the Texas OU game, OU is not too bad, 63-51 in favor of Texas. Michigan leads their series 60-51. And the one that kind of shocked me the most, that I thought might have been a bigger rivalry, just because I live in Texas, we're out here, would be Texas A&M. But Texas leads that series 76-37. I don't think that's a rivalry at all. But Texas A&M absolutely hates Texas. And I think they're mad because they're getting ready to come over into the SEC. And I think that's why they got rid of Jimbo, because they don't want to lose to Texas anymore. This one right here, y'all look at this, man. I saw this, and at first I didn't think about anything of it in the game, JT. just because I said, man, they just ran a sneak for 4 yards and touchdown. Then when I actually went and go back and watched this tape, I'm looking at this. I'm like, what? This is supposed to be a tush push. If you watch 26, he actually tries to go in and
Yeah,
hit
no.
Milrow. But Milrow's looking over there. Look at his head. Milrow's like, is that a big old hole over there for me to just run through? I mean, he's just staring at it. He never takes his eyes off it. He's just like, I'm out of here. And you can see
Yeah, it was kind of funny because he ends up like he runs into Jam Miller and puts Jam Miller into the end zone with him, right?
yeah. And look at 45. 45 is supposed to be pushing him. He just misses him because Milrow just took off.
Pass protection and screens are similar because those guys set and the defensive end get upfield and the running back stay in like he checking protection. So during the screen, running back have to really be an actor because you got to act like you in pass protection. So that was only make the screen good. And Ezekiel Elliott, he run the best screen that I've seen, uh, so far. And one thing that he does, he's such an actor on blocking, which is why he always get a chunk amount of yards on his screens. And he also had great offensive linemen as well. But you have to be a great actor. You have to sit in there as long as you can. And once you see that guard and that tackle and that center get out of there, and then you turn and run with the center, you want to be behind the line of scrimmage. So just in case something happens, it's a dead play or whatever. But usually the ends get upfield, and some like Ole Miss have great defensive ends. Those guys that some great defensive end, fast guy that likes to get upfield real quick because they're trying to do what, sack the quarterback, and they're trying to beat the O line off the ball. And those guys get upfield, and you see the tackle. They do two kick slides, and the running back have to sit in there. And when that line get out and running, the running back run with them. But to go back to what you were saying, how it mirror with the protection, like we just were talking about, is that the whole acting part. If they come out there, Mike, the guy, and you point to whoever you gonna go to, like it's a pass protection, which in so many sense it is, but you're just not having no responsibility to block anybody unless it's one of those ones where you chip the end and turn around real quick, which is only two guys getting out for you to block down the field.
Got a lot of takes. And being out here in Texas, there's so much talk about it. That's the one that I wanted to hit that JT just put on the screen. Think Dabo's going to Texas A&M. That's very, very, very interesting.
Nope, I don't think so.
To me, just because of all the chatter that's going on with Dabo. I don't know if it'll happen, but I think that puts him a step closer to Alabama. Honestly, if he actually came into the SEC and was able to create some damage, that would be interesting. Okay,
Dabo's philosophy just goes against what Texas A&M is trying to do.
That's true. That's true. He's got to change anyway. That's my boy. He got to change.
He does.
He's gonna have to get in his portal, and if he's gonna compete,
especially on a play like this. One thing that's changed in this game is so different than it was 20 years ago. Is the spread concepts, the RPOs, and that's changed a lot of things about offensive line play. It's changed the way they take wider splits. So the important thing when it comes to duo blocks, you got to get hit hip to hip. Well, doing that with a 2-foot split versus a 3-foot split, that's a much taller task. So on this play, these two guys do about as good of a job of getting hip to hip and getting movement on this 4-eye technique as you see. And I think part of the reason for that, I believe, is again today's game. A lot of times they're coming to the line of scrimmage and they may have 3 or 4 plays called, and especially on the look they get. Is going to determine what they do. So the way the guys are coached today, your stance has got to be the same. It's got to look the same. Whether you don't know if you're going to be drive blocking, if you're going to be pulling, if you're going to be pass blocking. So the days of just being able to tee up and blast somebody off the ball, you don't see that very often. But if you run the option, you know what you're going to do. So in this instance, they're able to just hunker down, get hip to hip, and get movement and pick off this backside backer on their way to the second level. So they blocked it on the front side about as well as you can do it. I agree with JT. If you don't have this sniffer in motion right here, it changes everything, because I believe 32 is locked up with this H-back, so he's responsible for him. And really the only reason that, and this is a good play against this look for Tennessee, but the only reason it wasn't worse is I think 32 plays it so well, stringing it along, allowing 13 to force it. The fact that the quarterback, I don't think, played it very well. He should have been more aggressive downhill at the pitch guy. But him widening like that and 32's ability to keep pushing it out minimized it, in my opinion.
Just looking at this formation, I see the inside of those two at the top are covered up. So I know he can only run a screen at this point. I'm looking at the two backs, the one to the field, he's 1-by-1 with the quarterback. The one to the boundary, he's beside the quarterback. So I already know it looks like they're going to run a tunnel screen to the field. And if the tunnel screen isn't there, he's going to have the option to hand it off to the back on a draw. The linemen are sitting light, so they're not in full run. They tell you everything at the line. You just got to know what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now let's run the play and see what happened. This is an old school type running play. I thought we did an excellent job on motion across, cross buck motion is what I call it. I don't know what y'all still call it. So the back on the right actually went to the left and they handed it to the left. The back on the left.
But you see, he's 1-by-1 on that quarterback. So he's already telling you it's going to be screen or draw.
So our guys did a really good job of playing the line of scrimmage, not letting them move them. It'd be a shame if they could run the ball off of this because we got 9 in the box, right? But I thought it was just a good piece that we actually got lined up right and we weren't running around, because a lot of times I see us kind of look around, guys are looking, because at first I thought about it when I look at the top. You see Malachi up there talking, but he might be telling them, hey, this guy's not eligible. I don't know. He's saying something. I guess that's Kool-Aid probably. Up top, tell him to go ahead and take that.
Will Reichard, it just seems like, he's an NFL kicker at the college level. I mean, anything less than 50, it just seems that it's almost automatic for him. So that was my takeaways. I'm not disappointed. I thought Alabama played well, but I guess maybe in some ways I'd like to see that, and that concerns me as we head to College Station.
Well said. You gave me a little bit of nuggets here to, I don't know, maybe walk me off the cliff a little bit. So my dad was not able to watch the first quarter of the game because it was on ESPN News, because Ole Miss and LSU ran over with whatever the hell that game ended up being. So I switched over to watch it on ESPN News. I caught the whole thing. And after the first quarter, he sent me a text and he said, am I reading this right? We didn't throw not one single pass in the first quarter. And I said, well, it wasn't for not trying, but I said, for some reason, still, Milroe refuses to just throw the ball away. So we had 2 sacks in the first drive. And then I followed that up with, I think it was about midway through the second quarter, I said, this is probably the most frustrating offense I think I've ever watched. And I've watched a lot of Jason Garrett and Kellen Moore offenses.
Did the committee get it right? Are there the right 4 teams in there in the right location, just from a 10,000 foot, look?
No.
Did they get it right?
No, not at all. Rightfully so. Florida State won the ACC championship and did it convincingly. They're undefeated.
Boo this man! Where's the boo button?
I'm just being.
Where's the boo button?
And guess what? And based off that, all I'm saying is that the problem is the infancy of the college playoff needs to be bigger. It needs to be expanded to like 6 teams. Six teams. They're always going to get it wrong. They've gotten it wrong literally every year. So they need to change the mechanism. And then the only way you can do that is put more one more game in there. That's as simple as that.
You saying do that like right now though? Just go ahead and override and go ahead and throw in another game.
Yeah, just go ahead and Florida State get out of their bowl game. Go ahead and put Florida State back in it. Let them play. And at the end of the day, if you think about it, normally your best 6 teams are usually the teams that should be in it, and it's always 2 or 3 that don't make the cut. Um, yeah, they just always got it wrong. You can check it out. I know Mike Leach had some comments about it. It was hilarious. They're talking about committees. Everybody wants a committee. People who have not played it or not done it has the right to say who should be the best of the best. No, it's the battle of the gridiron. No, it's your record. It's what you did on the field, and rightfully so. I mean, how many power teams do we have? At the end of the day, just make it real simple. Just make all the champion. Whoever wins the championship goes to the playoffs.
I think Alabama fans first, we need to recognize that, and you guys have probably experienced, they're a little spoiled, George. I mean, they've experienced a lot of success for a decade and a half now, and especially of late, offensively, it's looked a certain way. You know, there was a period of time where I think Alabama fans prided themselves on your championship team, where we don't have to be elite offensively, but we need to be elite defensively, and we can run the ball. And I think for a long, long time, even the beginning of the Saban era, that's the way those teams were built. We're going to play great defense. We're going to run the football. And then, you know, the game sort of changed, the hurry up, no huddle, the spread, and Alabama embraced that. They bring in Lane Kiffin. And all of a sudden, the quarterback play at Alabama goes off the charts. You got 4 starters right now in the NFL. And so fans got used to that. That sort of style is addicting. And the way it's aesthetically pleasing to watch an offense go up and down the field. So I think that we need to recognize, one, they're a little spoiled. But 2, this team has some issues, and it makes it hard to go from what we've seen the last 2 years to this, to see quarterbacks struggle, to be heading into the 4th game of the season, still looking for an answer at quarterback, heading into that as 4th week of the season with an offensive line that's allowing a lot of pressure on its quarterbacks, with running backs not picking up blitzes correctly. So I think there are some issues offensively that they're going to have to work through. I think the positive to look for this week is, okay, Nick Saban has taken all the drama out of it. It's going to be Jalen Milroe going forward. I think that will help Tommy Reese, the offensive coordinator. And I think it's up to Tommy to help Jalen, to accentuate the things that he does well. Get the ball out of his hands quickly.
The kahunas you got to have, I guess. I guess there's just so much film that you know how they're going to line up and what you can do to try to exploit somebody, particularly when you're doing onside kicks. I don't even remember what quarter it is. But the execution is just flawless, and you got to give the credit to the kicker, first of all, just to lay this thing up there. And I think part of my favorite part of this clip is, you know, yes, the excitement, but it's a little bit later. I don't know if did you cut it. It's when Dabo. Well, I
this
love
is my favorite. The meme right here. Yes.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite Saban moments right there. Is that grin?
You can get it when he smiles. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's like, he want to chest bump him, but he can't because he know if he lock him down. You see him jump?
That right there. That's it.
That's right. That's good. Let me screenshot that one somehow. You can post it. Well, the other part of it was when it was coming up, because you're about to see the other guy who we said could be a candidate. Him right here. I don't even know what he's arguing about.
Me either. I mean, you can kind of see it. Is he's arguing?
He's right at the 50 that he didn't make it.
Well, no, I'm saying like right. So here, Dabo is standing right here, and you can if you just keep your eyes on him, he's already arguing right now.
He didn't cross. He knew he got. I mean, that's it's amazing. It's amazing just when you can put that much work and effort in. You know, it's hard to be a coach at any level, but particularly at this, when you're doing it, you know, you're making a lot of money. There's so much more involved in it. It's crazy. What kind of psychology do you have to do with kickers?
So once we've got a kid trained up to hit a straight ball, you know, kind of odd for a kicking guy to say this, but we don't care about the two upright poles. We want to know where the ball is when it crosses the upright. And you're going to see Graham is really good at this, about hitting a straight ball. He probably doesn't have the strongest leg in the nation. I mean, he's a strong kid, and he's 96%, I think, last year, hit a 50-something yarder, but he hits a straight ball, and that's a big thing for a coach. So once you've gotten to the point where you can hit that straight ball, it's about teaching how to do it under pressure. So if you can hit that straight ball once, you can do it 1,000 times. What I use when I'm training guys is, okay, you know, if I put a 2x4 on the ground, ask you to walk across that 2x4, you'd walk across it pretty quick, not a big deal. But if I put the 2x4 30 feet in the air, ask you to do the same thing, how are you going to walk across it then? And they say, well, I'm a lot slower, and so on and so forth. Well, why? Because the task did not change. You know, the task is just walking across a 2x4. The only thing that changed were the circumstances. So in kicking, you can be great off of sticks, but then the circumstances change on Friday nights. You know, mom and dad and grandma are coming. You put on your pads, heart rate goes up a little bit. You go out and warm up. You hear the student section start chirping at you. You know, everything gets a little bit more pressure here and here. It elevates, you know, keeps elevating. So how can you do the same task? Because what I'm asking you to do on Friday night with everybody watching and 11 guys coming at you is no different than what I'm asking you to do when you just got it teed up by yourself on the practice field. It's just the stuff around it has changed. You know, you can't control the blocking, you can't control the snap, you can't control the hold, but you can control what you do. So getting kickers to understand that it just comes down to what they do. Don't try to do more than what you do.
What I would be telling kids is you have to study enough, work hard enough, be dedicated enough to know when you need to move over a foot to the left, back up 3 feet to the back, or move up a step to put yourself in the best position to be able to complement whatever our film study has shown us for this week. You need to make sure that you're capable of putting yourself in the optimal position to be able to match the routes and help your teammates based off of what we're expecting.
All right, excellent, and I love that the used the word match. So JT, to you, let's start with the corners. Go into your R and your S. I see you have with the drops and the overs and all this kind of stuff. Can you give a simple breakdown of, you know, what they're looking, what they're reading initially before the routes even come? So you have it on the playbook, and it says what for the C and what for the S, and so forth.
Yeah. So this is actually just a screenshot of what they usually would get, and I try to keep it super simple, and then we drill into the details over camp or spring ball as it happens. So the corners, I'm telling, look, you have deep third, and I ask them how many of them have taken any kind of math. All their hands should go up since they're still in school. They should have taken some kind of math, and they should be able to kind of roughly divide the field into 3 parts. Usually I just kind of tell them, like, look, you have from sideline to hash, safety has from hash to hash, and then the other corner has the other sideline to hash. So there you go, 3 parts. You have to be, and then it's really the hardest part of teaching young high school players is that, like, just because you are in between the sideline and the hash doesn't mean that you're actually covering all of it. You need to be like in the middle of that landmark, right? So that's why I tell them deep third over 2-1, because if you get 2 verticals, the easy throw is to the inside receiver. You want to make them throw outside. So I tell them key number 2, you're playing deep third over 2-1. When you got Michael Penix Jr. slinging a rock all over the place and he's a Heisman candidate for his arm, you don't need to have him run QB counter and sweeps and power and all that kind of stuff with the quarterback. But when you got Jalen Milroe, maybe you can start. It's a good coach's offense never is stagnant. Just because that's what you did doesn't mean that's always what you're going to do, right? You have a system. Your system should adapt to the personnel that you have on your team. So knowing that they have quarterback runs in the system, maybe some more of that shows up with what we've got.
That's right. And so I'll dive in that a little bit more. And I do want to say, man, JT, and I just want to, because in my deal, I was thinking, our mantra is so much of run the damn ball, be physical, and all this kind of stuff, right? And there are certain type of runs that happen with that, the powers, the counters, and just the aggressiveness of that. I'm hoping he stays with that. I do need to say that inside zone can be a very physical type of run. We ran a lot of it last year. It's not something new because you create the double teams and things of that nature. So as JT was saying, that has been his favorite run. I did look at the stats and look at the numbers, and it was 31% inside zone or the run. That's pretty high when you start, saying, hey,
Yeah, and a lot of it was read option anyway.
That's right, and that's the other piece where JT's getting into. We can talk about that, how you can actually use the quarterback to keep the ball and throw it, or have a quarterback pull it and run it. So there's added pieces of that. Because when I was looking at it, I was like, man, I don't know, this kind of booty. But I'm so used to Jalen Milroe and wanting to run it. And then I'm looking at other stuff like, man, dang it, pull it, or something. They're just chasing and running back down in there. They can't get it really going. So they do a little bit of motion again, always trying to get, indicators over man and zone and all this kind of stuff. If you guys don't remember what counters are, you got pullers going, guys blocking down. There's the pullers going out. So check it out. And you see number
keep
10
in mind,
actually,
this is the exact same play that Alabama has run with Jalen Milroe.
Stick Jalen Milroe in there. He just don't tend to go inside. He always try to bounce outside, and we scream every game. He's so fast. So you got a kick out by the first guy and then a wrap by the next guy. Patience, hit the gap. Now, JT pointed out some things earlier in the show about what his tendencies are when he comes in. He hadn't thrown the ball yet at all. So I'm assuming we're going to try to force him to throw if he comes in. I didn't really study on when they put him in, JT, or what.
I looked at his plays just because I wanted to see how often they were using him. He played in the Penn State game. I think there was one game he came in garbage time and had like 3 plays. Basically, all you need to know is the redshirt rules are you get to play in 4 games.
Yep. And
you get to keep your red shirt. As of right now, he still has his red shirt. So even if he plays against Alabama, this is still only like his 4th game. They have used him super sparingly. When he did, I think he was in the game 2 plays against Michigan or against Ohio State. It was Michigan State. He was in the game for like 4 plays, and they were already up by 40 points or whatever. And then he was in for 1 more play against Iowa, I believe. I think that's all he's seen.
11 carries, 69 yards for the season, 1 touchdown. Passing wise, he has not attempted a pass at all. So that'll let you know a little bit about what he's going to bring offensively to the table. One of those wrinkles that you can see, because you know he's capable of, but then again, to me, now is not the time to roll the dice.
Well, we had to coach against him in high school. We know how dynamic of a player he is because that game might have looked a lot different had he not got thrown out for targeting.
Because I want to believe in him, because we've finally chosen him as our guy, and he's our guy, and the team seems to really be rallying around him, and that which is the good thing. Obviously, if you have the locker room, that's one of Nick's biggest thing is making sure you have the locker room. The one thing that I would really like to see him, and this is not so much on an X's and O's thing, it's more of one of those intangibles. And I've seen glimpses of it, but I would really like to see him just be the alpha dog, take that team and lead them, because you can be an average or an okay or not the best quarterback on the planet, but if you have that intangible and you lead that team, they will do the unthinkable for you. And next thing you know, we're in the national championship.
Anything that's not out of the ordinary, you're not inherently going to have leverage problems or number problems. It's an 8-man front. I'm still going to call it an 8-man front, even with the safety back here, because of how we played this guy. He is supposed to be aggressive. And then you've got numbers inside with 4 defenders inside from B gap to B gap. So this is B gap. This is B gap. If I draw a line, I've got 4 guys in here. And our philosophy has always been defend the middle of the field, because as you've heard me say many times on this show, who is the best tackler on the team?
Hash marks?
No. The sideline. The sideline never misses a tackle.
For DeBoer, I don't think he sees it as pressure, because he wanted to come here. Like, if you thought this was pressure, you don't sign a piece of paper to come here. He comes to Alabama on the plane, gets off the plane, and he has his introductory press conference January 13th, which was a Saturday. I was there, and he talked about this was the only place I would have left Washington for. This is the only place. He's like, man, I get the pressure that's here, but I came for the pressure that's here. So I don't think DeBoer is feeling the pressure. I think, if anything, in the back of Greg Burns' mind, he knows my success is tied to this hire. Greg Burns knows this. Just like even in death, people honor Mal Moore, because Mal Moore's success was tied to the hire of Nick Saban. And with all that Nick Saban did and accomplished at Alabama, which was an awful lot, people still to this day, even in death, reveal Mal Moore. So Greg Burns knows, hey, I got a lot riding on this puppy. This better hit, because my name is tied to this. Just like my name is tied to Nate Oates, because I hired him to coach Alabama men's basketball. My name is tied to Kalen DeBoer, because I hired him to be the one to succeed Nick Saban. So I think it's even more on Greg Burns than what it is on Kalen DeBoer.
Yes. Can anybody look up, see, is Alabama beating Auburn or not in this basketball game? Since you
So Stephen Burton didn't want us to actually tell him to score. But since you asked, I have to. I'm sorry. I'm giving you about 3 seconds, Stephen, to mute me, because here it goes. There's 6 minutes left in the second half. Alabama is up 65-60.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since we're using basketball, we're not talking about, the Tar Heels. So, not yet, right? But until we're talking about high revenue schools, a lot of it is just going to be fodder until what they threaten to do can affect the bottom line. In Dartmouth's case, there's not very much of a bottom line. but here's the thing. It will serve as an incubator for the program that can unionize, and it affect the bottom line. They'll use that as a basis of how they move forward.
He's got great feet and great instincts. He's got great eyes. He can see the football. He's one of those guys that can watch him right here press. He's on top of the guy. We used to talk about high for five, with a press corner. He's got that ability to get his feet moving. See how he gets up on top of the guy, and he's got his hand on him. Now he's under control, so that if a receiver stops on him or cuts inside, he's got the ability to get back and look at him change direction there.
I want to pause on that real quick, because JT, and maybe we need to, I'm not good enough on video to do that, but so early in the year, if you guys haven't seen it, go back onto our YouTube page and find I don't even know what it was called, JT, when we did a breakdown of Kool-Aid McKinstry. Right.
Oh,
And we were
yeah.
talking about
Okay.
his ability to play like this. It looked like this, right? When he stayed on the top, used his hips very well. So Coach Campo and Coach Zimmer actually taught me a lot about how you open when you're in press, right? Open it at a 45 or at a V is what they used to call it. Coach
Right.
Campo, right? And sticking with the offhand.
There you go. There it is, right
There
there.
it is right there. And then staying on top and not because a lot of high school guys will fall right into a trail way early.
Yeah. Here's what we used to tell them. We used to say, stay high for 5. If you're high for 5, that means when that guy comes off and you get that offhand on him, as long as you're on top of him at 5 yards down the field, now by the time you open at the 45 and now he catches you, that's the place where you're probably going to get the comeback or the cutback, the dig or whatever. You're under control. But if you allow him to get on top of you right away, if you just turn and run and not get that hand on him and stay high over the top of him for 5, you have to run full speed to stay with him. And now you have no way of handling his changes of direction. You're not under control anymore.
This right here, this could be our last play because I know we're.
Yeah, it is our last play, actually, I think.
This bothers me, man, because I know we've been talking about this for at least 2 years.
Yeah, so this is where I want Marvin Constant to come back on and be, hey, see, look, Pete Golden wasn't the problem. It's just your damn linebackers don't want to cover the back. That's fine. So they start on actual quads.
So let me I'm gonna preface this to you, okay, before you get there, because you're talking about Marvin, Pete Golden. And I don't want to talk about the mastermind, but it seems like because this keeps carrying over.
Oh, well, that's what I said.
What is he saying about this? Because it just seemed like he's saying, hey, let him throw the damn ball to the running back because they ain't going to have enough patience to keep doing it, and keep doing it. But that ain't true for some people when they're looking at this, because we're giving up a lot of plays out of the backfield, and we're going to be playing some dynamic running backs.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't afford to do something like this. So you need to take a look at this. You guys can. So they start up in quads.
Yep, so they line up in quads. They motion back to just a regular trip set. Okay, so we already know that at this point, down at the bottom of your screen, the go-to for a Saban coach defense is to go to special or stubby. They usually like to play stubby, which is what we talked about before. They're just going to man up the outside receiver, and they're going to play cover 2 they're going to play 2 read over the inside 2 receivers. Now, on the backside, I don't necessarily know what they do on the backside, but how we run it is just, I tell it as simple as this. So Jalen Key is the safety back there. We make an Uno call. We're just going to man up that guy up top. And I tell the linebacker, hey, look, if that back goes out to your side, he's yours. That end of story.
Black 84, who's the tight end, who's attached.
Yeah, let me put a circle on him because
he's the hot read.
That's the hot read right there.
Correct. When you know you didn't got enough, or you're getting too much pressure, you can see he puts his hands up like immediately, like he's kind of waiting for the ball, like, hey, I'm here, because they are one zone short. I mean, he's
throw it right now.
Right now.
No one's there but the referee.
Yeah. So that's one piece from the back end, and I know JT was talking about that maybe a little bit pre-show, I believe.
Yeah, and again, just looking at something like this, you got 3 by 1. Again, it has to be understood by the quarterback where to go with the football right away, just by front. Meaning, I understand that my offensive line has these guys that are in the box. Who's the one that I'm responsible for? So in this specific case, the end man on the line of scrimmage is who the quarterback is responsible for. He's got to know immediately where that ball has to go. Obviously, it's the tight end coming across the middle. Nobody there to tackle him but the referee.
If you're a guy that they don't want to throw at, I'll use Richard Sherman as an example. Richard Sherman only played on one side of the field. So it's very easy to take Richard Sherman out of the game. You take your best receiver and you put him on the other side of the field. And that solves that problem. So if you got a guy that can move around, I mean, we even always talk about, you hear talk about guys being able to play in the slot versus outside. Being able to do that, go inside is one major feat, but a lesser feat that is still, I think, important is being able to feel comfortable on both sides of the field. Now, I've never really understood it personally, not being able to play on both sides. That doesn't make sense to me at all. Like, how could you not? I just don't understand.
Not from a defensive backside, because you know.
Well, because I'm like, look, if you're playing man, like, he can go any direction anyway. So, like, what's the difference? Why is being on one side different than the other side? And if you're playing zone, like, I don't understand, like, why that's a thing.
I agree with you on it, in particular for ours, but you hear it from every position. Maybe not wide receiver, but, line. They seem like they have to do something different when they have their right hand down versus their left hand down, and it's tricky with their feet.
I mean, I get that, though. Like, you're an offensive lineman, and you're always used to, let's say you're a right tackle. It's like you always have, well, I shouldn't say always, but most of the time, like, there's always somebody to your left. So if you're, for whatever reason, you're just not adept with, like, hand placement on your left side, you have help. And if you just all of a sudden got moved to the other side of the line and you suck on your left hand, you don't have help anymore. So, to me, that's fundamentally different than these corners.
A defensive back, yeah. No, I agree.
You're going to get your vertical. Mm-hmm.
You're going to get...
He's taking the top off.
Like that, and then
absolutely
the back is
going to run the flat.
Right. So you're getting kind of a flood concept.
We call it flood on defense. Yeah, he called it.
There you go.
Yep.
That's your flood concept. And then usually what you're going to get backside by the X is probably a big boy dig on the backside, where if he has something here, and I haven't seen it run through, but he probably is going to get a dig or a post, and you can let it play.
All right. Yep, there's a dig.
So easy.
And there's your dig, right?
Yep.
Right. Yep. And everybody does that. So we can watch it from behind. End zone copy. There's your mesh, pop. And usually on this, timing wise, it's going to happen on 3 hitch rhythm. So you're going to work that mesh. You're going to cross over or shuffle back, pop, set your feet. And then usually you're reading. And if you see this down here on the screen, number 1 was wrong. He should have took the back here, right, Teague? If I think that's number 1, I can't see.
Yeah,
probably.
I have no idea where he's going because the puller's coming the other way. He just
even if he's playing the run here, he's not right.
He's lost.
I don't
and
know
that's why I
what's going
said
on
there's
there.
no flat defender. And so Milrose was he can either throw this ball to the back or he takes the banana route, and he took the banana route. And I think he was on rhythm. And you can see again just about how in the range of motion for quarterbacks, everything is about the stretch, the torque, the rotation, because we're rotational people. That's what we do as quarterbacks. And as Milrose happens to evolve, obviously he's a bigger kid. I saw some pictures of him online. His flexibility and his range of motion has to change because it's going to be big for longevity and for him playing and being able to play at the next level as well.